We are going old school today, back to 1985. I am so freaking excited about this one, guys. This is a quilt pattern no one has ever made on YouTube, ever. So let's see if you can guess this one. We are going to need tiny little 1.5 inch squares in dark blue, light blue, green, yellow, purple, orange, and red. And we will also be needing black. Let's see what other hints I can give you as to what we're doing. This is a game, and it was quite an addictive game. If I were to count all the hours I spent playing this in my life, it would probably amount to a couple of years, not gonna lie. These are the true colors of the original game. Now we're making this using a super simple technique I haven't done in a while with you guys. So instead of sewing the squares together and making a top, we're doing it the easy way. Here is my 15 by 22.5 inch piece of thermal adhesive. I use Heat and Bond, as you know, and my very useful temporary glue pen. Now all we need to do is add our squares and place them on top of this next to each other, making sure they aren't overlapping or leaving any gaps between them. Kind of feel like the blue isn't the best color to use with the yellow. It is kind of showing here. So I'm going to change to the yellow color, which should work for all my colors. Now the first time we did this was Christmas, do you remember? I love this method. And I use the glue pen because I want them not to move, but at the same time I want to be able to replace them if I don't like the result. So I can't really activate the Heat and Bond until I'm certain I've got my pattern perfect. For our game, I am making 10 columns and 15 rows in height. I'll decide later if we need to add more. So if each square is 1.5 inches, we're talking about 15 by 22.5 inch total. Because I haven't made a pattern, I have no idea where my squares will go, okay? So give me a little leeway here. I've just cut 15 squares each for the colors and 66 of the blacks. Guys, come on, what are we looking at here? You already know, right? We are doing an awesome, colorful Tetris game. A Tetris game. Oh, I mean, how cool is that and how simple are we making this? Anyone can do it. If I'm talking to you and you have never sewn a piece in your life, a stitch in your life, you will be able to do this. That's how cool this is. There are 7 different pieces for Tetris, right? L, Y, T, S, Z, a square, and a J. Now the classic colors are purple for L, red for I, yellow for T, green for S, light blue for Z, orange for the square, and dark blue for J. And as you can see, we will be needing a lot of black squares, right? Now, if you remember the game, you know that for each row at the bottom, we need at least 1 black square, because if it was all colors, the row would disappear, right? And the rows would go down. So we need to add a black square to each one of the rows to make sure these rows don't disappear. I think I'm done on this side. I'm just gonna cover these in black. Maybe a piece falling, what do you think? Makes sense, right? A piece is always falling, and that will be that. Oh guys, this is so cool. I'm so excited. And as you can see, you know, not all squares are perfect or equal. That's okay, because we will be stitching these together and it will be absolutely perfect, trust me. Actually, you know what? Let me revise the numbers I told you guys. I've decided I am just going to make 3 of each piece, so that's 12 each. I am cutting 12 of each piece and I will let you know how many blacks, depending on how many rows I want to go up. Let's see. Now we really start to have fun. This was, you know, the puzzle time, but now we actually get to make it, turn it into something. Let's keep going. We cannot iron this. We need to press it down. If we iron it, we will just lift the whole thing and we will be catching the adhesive on the iron and we will be twisting it. And we don't want that. We want this exact configuration. It is time to make a sandwich. So here is a piece of 100% cotton batting and we are just going to press the top into this. Now our batting is bigger than the top because when I do my binding, I don't want it to cut into these squares, okay? I want to leave as many squares open as I possibly can. We are going to remove the side of our thermal adhesive and we are going to iron it onto our batting. I could use a bigger iron right now. I have picked white, you know, sheet really, and that's what I'm using for my backing. I have made it 1 inch wider than the backing because I want to self-bind. Sorry, it's just the way I do it. Tetris games usually have a frame around it that was either white or gray, so that's what I'll be doing. I'm using a 17 by 24 inches, something like that. Of course, you can make this into any size you want, either by making your squares bigger or just adding more squares. About our quilting, we are doing something a little bit different. First, we are using black thread. If you look at Tetris games, there's usually a shade around each block, and that is exactly what I want to do with our zigzag stitching in black. I am a little bit nervous, not gonna lie. Last time I did this project in zigzag stitch, my machine went for repairs for about a month. Now, before you get scared about what I'm doing here, this wasn't to blame, okay? The previous project I had done messed with my machine, and so by the time I got to this project, I couldn't zigzag. It just didn't do it. Now, if you don't want the black zigzag to show on the bottom fabric, you can add white thread to your bottom spool, but you'll probably end up with a couple of black dots at the bottom and white dots at the top anyway. Or you can simply quilt the top and the batting and then add the back fabric after, you know? I'm going all in, guys. In a perfect world, I would have done everything very precisely, okay? I would have marked all my squares in the thermal adhesive. I would have cut all my squares exactly alike, and that way it would have been just place them, okay? I did none of that. And it shows. So yeah, when you look at it, I can see a lot of white gaps. I can see, you know, it's leaning. I don't think it's leaning. I think it's my thermal adhesive that I cut wrong actually, and it's leaning this way, so you have an extra here and it's missing here, but that's fine. It is absolutely fine, because once I press it in place, it's not going anywhere, and I'll just have to use a bigger stitch to hide the white marks. It is perfectly okay, guys. I have made the executive decision of cutting one black row on the top only because my camera could not catch it. You know, the zoom wasn't wide enough and I wanted you to see the whole thing, okay? So right now it is not 15 rows, it's 14, but just go ahead and do your 15 rows, okay? All you need is 10 extra black squares and you're good to go. Guys, this may just be the most awesome thing I've ever made. And how easy was that, and how clumsy was I? It's perfect. I want to do my binding first, and then I will show you the big, awesome reveal. Fold once, and then we fold again, but we don't want to cover too much of our square, so just like this is perfect, okay? Almost there, guys. Let me show you what all this work was for. This is absolutely gorgeous. Here is our back with all these little squares. Kind of cute, but probably not what you had in mind. Let's turn this around, shall we? And look at this. Guys, I can't stop looking at it. I think every choice we've made here was the right call. The stitching, the shadowing, I love it. I hope you did too. I had so much fun, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.